Hello folks, this is COVID teaching of how to measure angles with a protractor. Now, in my experience, some students don't know how to use a protractor. Let's start with that. So first of all, protractor has a line in the bottom. In the center of the protractor, you will see a line straight up at a measurement of a 90. Now it also has numbers on the inside starting at 0, going along, numbers on the outside starting at 180. So the way you measure will depend on how you set your protractor on the diagram. So what I have here for number 1 is what we call an angle. Starting at P, so PQ is a line and RQ is a line. They share a common corner, Q, called the vertex. I'm going to show you both ways to measure this angle. If I put the protractor on line PQ with the corner of Q right in the vertex, notice, I'm going to be anal, that the baseline is exactly on line PQ. To measure the angle, since I'm starting here, I would use the inside numbers. So 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. It goes up here, the measurement between 70 and 80. The line, in fact, is exactly at 75 degrees. Now, I could also measure it from this side. So, line and protractor baseline at along the line QR and be anal. And then my hand's probably in the way. This time I'm going to start on the outside measurement because the 0 is on the outside. Just go up. So you're going to measure between this line and this line. 0, 70, between 70 and 80 again, 75 degrees. I'm going to ask you on the exercise for the measurement of the reflex angle PQR. And that, when you see the word reflex, is on the outside of the angle. If you remember in your previous life, there's 360 degrees in a circle. Like, think about this line as moving. Think about that line QR originally starting on top of PQ. It has moved 75 degrees to here. If that line kept going, like if that was a movable line, and rotated all the way back to be on top of PQ, be a complete revolution or 360 degrees. When you're asked for the reflex angle, you want the angle on the outside of the inside angle. This angle inside is less than 90, so it's called an acute angle. Think about it as a cute little angle. The angle on the outside is greater, obviously, than 90. This is not a corner. It's not quite a 90 degree. So to calculate this, use a calculator, and you could measure or do the subtraction and get 360 minus the 75 and get 285. If you want to measure it, you could extend the line QR in your mind. That line, if I measured, of course, given that it's straight, would be starting here, there's 180 degrees. And if you want to measure the rest from the new line just drew up to PQ, it would be another 105. No, 90, yes, 105. So 105 and 180 would be 285, which is what you would get if you subtracted the acute angle of 75 from, and they chose a bad pen, my bad, from 360, you would get 285 for the reflex on the outside. Okay, now we're going to look at number 2, diagram number 2. So if you notice the diagram first, have a look. We have a line, ABC, and we have a second line from B to D. Those two lines, the middle, B is called the vertex. How many angles do you see? When you think about that question, how many angles do you see? And I suspect many of you would say that you see 2 angles. But in fact, there's more. So watch carefully. I see a small angle on this side and a bigger angle on this side. That's the first thing that jumps into my head. To measure these, lay your protractor down, put the center of the baseline in the middle at D. Now, if it's lined up, I'm not on top of it. I should be, I'm breaking the rules by not being right above the diagram, but I will measure. Now, to measure the angle on the right, to describe this angle, I would do it properly. I would say angle C, D, B. Is that right? Is that a D in the middle? That's a B, my bad. Take it off. I want to measure the angle in here. So angle C, starting at C, so line CB, between CB and BD. So between here and here, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 52 degrees is the measure of that line. On the other side, I would start on the inside because it's a 0. So it goes up 90, 100, 110, 120 to 128. So there's 2 angles. One's big and one's little. And the terminology for big and little is acute and obtuse. 2 degrees on this side and 128 on that side. This angle is from A to B to D, so all of this space, 128 degrees, 52 degrees. Because those 2 angles are side by side and they share this common side BD, they are called adjacent angles. They're side by side. They have a common side in the middle. Now, because these 2 angles add to 180 or make a straight line, they are also referred to as supplementary angles, angles that add to give you 180 degrees. The third angle, maybe you don't see, is literally that. Angle A, B, C, the whole thing. If you visually ignore that line BD, you would have an entire angle of 180, which is called a straight angle. There's also an angle on this side. Okay, 180. That's the first 2.